first time I thought I wanted to be a musician was when I heard my brother playing guitar in the room next to me. And he came home and my grandparents got him a guitar and he was riffing out. I was about 6 years old. He was doing simple like, and I was like, what is that, man? That sounds pretty cool. It was like he didn't even know how to play a chord yet. And I listened to him and I was like, wow, that's really cool. I like that. You know, then I would hear him playing in the other room and coming up with like, he totally exposed me to the Beatles. Guitar-wise, I think I made a big step. I'll never forget the day I was sitting outside. We used to play wiffle ball in the backyard, me and my brother, when we would come home from work. And I was listening to, I think it was PLJ back then, played the rock stuff back then, or NEW, I forget. But I was like listening to like, and I'm like, it was the Kinks. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, you know? And my brother comes over and he's like, screw that, you gotta hear this. And he puts in this cassette and I hear, and I'm like, what is that? What is that sound coming out of that? And it was Eddie Van Halen playing Eruption, and it was a total, like, music just went from like this to just bang in like 30 seconds to me. Because I was like, what? I had no idea what he was doing, how he was doing that on guitar, but I knew when I heard that, I was like, oh, I want to do that. I don't know how to do it, but I want to do that. Songwriting, my influences are definitely Lennon and McCartney, a big Beatles fan, love them. I love the fact that, and there'll never be another band like this. I sound like an old fogey, but they started out in like that teeny bopper bubblegum music and evolved into this songwriting genius that they did. If you think about the fact that every song that you hear by them was a hit. Like, nobody has that many hits. Nobody has that kind of repertoire, that kind of, it's just amazing to me. So that's a huge influence. Guitar-wise, Eddie Van Halen, huge influence on me. Stevie Ray Vaughan was a huge influence on me. I like anything that's funky and soulful, and that's what he was like too. I mean, great guitar players are great guitar players. You know, there's a million of them that people don't know who they are. My parents were never supportive of music for me. They're very old-fashioned, understandably. You can't make a career out of music. You can't, you need something else. You can make a career out of anything, I think. It depends on what you want to do. My brother has always supported me. He still supports me. He still says, you started, you got to keep going. You don't quit. And he also described me as being very tenacious. So I've taken that, and that will somewhere end up on my arm or some tattoo on my body someday. Tenacity will be written on me somewhere because I'm very like that. Very, very tenacious person. And that's good that he supports me. I've had relationships, people have supported me too, but My family, it's a mixed thing. My parents want me to be a lawyer, or a doctor. My brother wants me to be a rock star.
I've always supported his music career. I believe in things that if you have a dream to go for, whether you want to become an actor, a baseball player, a writer, a director, a musician, you honestly should just chase that dream or chase that goal. So I've always been very supportive of it. I find it pretty cool, to have your father kind of, be like, I guess a mini rock star at times.
I met John Monica in 1998. My husband and I just moved out to Morris County. Dave was looking for a place that was open late because he works late at night. And he walked into the Great Nutch Inn, and he came home and he said to me, I just met somebody that's a really phenomenal singer-songwriter. You have to meet him. He's really great. And I'm like, okay. So we showed up at the Great Notch Inn the next time we played, and I met John, and we were really amazed. I mean, Dave and I have both been musicians from way back, and he's just so powerful and strong, and we loved the way he played. At the time, he was playing only acoustic guitar. So he asked me, he knew I was a singer-songwriter, and he asked me to bring my guitar to one of his gigs. So I did, and we've been playing together on and off, since 1998.
My first shows as a solo artist were shaky. They all went really well, though, surprisingly for me. I've always been very fortunate where I've done well enough. But I recorded a couple of them. The first shows I did, I recorded at this local bar, and I was like, well, let me hear so I could basically go over it and see what I needed improvement on or whatever. And it sounded like the tape was warbling because I was so nervous the first few songs that I sang. Everything was like, that I sang. Everything was all vibrato. But that stopped after like the first couple of songs. I don't know, I feel pretty comfortable in front of people, I think, because I've been playing for a long time. It's always been a natural thing to me. As far as starting out, it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to get gigs. I lucked out with that. I started from my first show, I just started, it was an open mic, and I went to the open mic and I asked the guy after I was done playing, hey, if you ever need a guy, I'd like to try and do this. And he called me the next day because somebody canceled the following day. And I scattered and got a bunch of equipment and put down words to like 30 songs and just did it. And when I started out, I lucked out where people just kept booking me, which eventually turned into me getting so many gigs that I didn't need to do my day job anymore. So I was kind of torn with that. So the hardship of technically I made better money playing music than I did at my job that I had. That was a 9-to-5 suit and tie, business looking guy job. So it was, do you take the chance on doing music? Or do you go do this job over here that's paying you like $400 a week where you could make that in one show in 3 hours?
John's influenced me in a lot of ways. First of all, you can't be on the stage with John Monica without having to compete in some way. He's so powerful. So when I get up there, it's either keep up with him or move over. So I would bring in my original songs. And he also knew a ton of cover songs that I knew, and we would just play. And he's influenced a lot of the original music because he's done a lot of some arrangements for me. We've recorded about 4 songs together, and in those recordings, he arranged some of the music, and he always pushes me, that much further. And I'm pretty aggressive as a singer and songwriter. We did 2 acoustic songs at Portrait Studios at the time they were in Lincoln Park. I think they're in Pompton Plains now. We recorded She Fades Away and a song called Done. We played them live. And so we basically just went in the studio and recorded them live, just the way we would do it in any club. And we also recorded a song called Brave, which was more of a band arrangement. And we recorded that at the show place in Dover and also worked on it at his place. John is just, he's very good at arranging and just singing. When he's singing background on your stuff, you really know it.
Favorite moments, when I opened up for Edwin McCain at the Stone Pony. That was the first time I did an all original show for a national act. I was the only person that wasn't signed to open for him on that tour. There was 300 people there that were just there for me. They all paid to get in. They all knew all the words to my songs. So just the energy of like 300 people singing your songs while you're on the stage like that, yeah, I was really pumped for that. That was the adrenaline for that show alone wiped me out. I mean, I play 7 to 10 shows a week, 3 hours nonstop singing. That was like a 45-minute set, and I was exhausted after that one set, as opposed to playing a whole week, just because it was so much energy. So that has to be the single one that was, it's your first big show. So that was probably the first and my biggest moment, I would say, at that point. Other greatest things, there's been a lot of shows for other people. Joan Jett, Whitesnake, Jeffrey Gaines, so many different people that I got to play with. Smithereens, I love the Smithereens. Smithereens are great. All those shows were great. They're all great moments. I think one of the things that I got the biggest thrill out of, which may not seem like anything to somebody, but when I did the Whitesnake show, the tickets are Ticketmaster tickets that had Whitesnake and John Monica on it. And to me, just having your name on a ticket like that was like huge for me. You know, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, somebody else might not appreciate that. It's a stupid thing, but I don't know. I like that. You know, it feels like you're reaching a plateau. Like there's like different plateaus. You're playing in bars, and then you go up to where you're playing like more on a level with like people that are doing the same thing as you. We're all in the same thing. We're all in the same business. I don't see a difference between somebody that like Bruno Mars or somebody like me, because you're all doing the same thing. There's a fame level that's different, but there's not what you're all trying to achieve. It's all the same.
John is always on 10. Like when you see him, he's always, it doesn't matter if there's 10 people in the room or 1,000, he gives the same show. Not in a boring way, like over and over, but he is just always that in tune and in touch with his music. He's added a lot of effects now to some of his shows. Like he used to just play it with acoustic guitar, but now he's bringing in effects for his guitar and his vocals, so he can do more, because he does play as a solo artist a lot, so it enhances what he does. He can cover more, and he's just started to get me to add more to it too with the effects.
This is like the Wall of Fame, all the stuff. This stuff from like I opened for Graham Parker over there. He signed that for me. You know, Marshall Tucker Band, Smithereens. That's from Edwin McCain over there. That was the set list. You know, different people that I've met throughout the years. Jeffrey Gaines, by Eddie Van Halen one, which is like gold to me. I don't really have regrets. You know, I do what I do for a reason. There's maybe my approach to things. I've never really went looking for a record deal. I never focused on going into the city and doing original shows that would maybe make me bigger or famous or something. But I could regret that, but I don't really regret it, because I've made a career out of what I love, and then there's give and take in everything, and I think that you have to realize that you could stay local and you make a living doing what you like or what you love, or you could become famous and you could be on the road and you could be constantly gone 6 months out of the year, or waking up in a different town everywhere. I don't know if I really needed that or wanted that. So I don't, career-wise, I don't have any regrets that way. I have regrets. I wish that I had more of a family, but that's what you give up with this, which sucks. It's like I've always wanted to have, the house and the kids and stuff like that. And I think not spending as much time with my son as I wanted to. I missed a lot of stuff that, I could have been there for. That's a bigger regret than anything I've done musically. That would probably be the only thing.
It was difficult, when your father's constantly on the road. Not really far, I mean, obviously through Jersey and stuff, but it's not easy when trying to make time for your father or trying to see your father at times is not an easy thing. It's hard for me to say what my relationship is like with my father. I mean, it's hard. It was always hard to ever see him. So I guess you can say it was never a 100% normal father and son relationship. Whenever we get, together and get to meet and go out maybe to a mall or to a ball game or a movie, it's pretty normal. I mean, it is pretty normal, like a father-son thing. Never really felt weird around him, even though it was hard to always see him. I would say it's not what a typical father and son relationship should be or would be. That's really the best way I could describe my relationship with my father.
The only advice I ever get from people all the time is get out there, be seen, be heard, put yourself out there. I had recently met Greg Howe, who he's played guitar with a million people. Michael Jackson, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake. He showed up at one of my shows through a mutual friend, watched the show. It was cool to have somebody, who's out there, who's done it, come see the show. And at the end of the show, he asked me for my information and everything, and he said to me, which I don't like to tell people this because I don't want it to come across the wrong way, because I don't want to seem arrogant to people or anything. I'm not that type of person. But he said to me, do you think that Chris Cornell has anything on you? I love Chris Cornell. I think Chris Cornell is amazing. But for somebody who had been out there playing with these people to say something like that to me was like the greatest compliment, to put me in that kind of a thing, category with somebody like that. And I said to him, I love him, and he said, that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm making is that if for you to be on that level with him, there's no difference between you and him and somebody else, other than he's out there. And if you don't put yourself out there, nobody's going to see you. So that's why I try to, mingle more, interact, network. It's a funny thing because I've always been the type of person where I don't want to have a friendship with somebody that is beneficial to me because of that friendship. I want to have a friendship with somebody because I like them, they're my friend. So there's a lot of phony things out there. I don't want to network with people and try and be like, hey, will you help me out here and there? So I don't even say my own name when I play out. I don't tell people who I am. I'm a terrible self-promoter. So that's the thing that I get. Promote yourself more, get out there in front of people, make more people see you, put YouTube videos. So I try to do that. That's basically the biggest advice that I get from people. Get out there. Put yourself out there.
He's very authentic. He's genuine. Not that other people aren't, but when you see John, you walk away, even if you're in a club, that you really witness something. He's really in tune with what he's doing, and it's just his power. He's just powerful. He's strong as a singer. He's strong as a guitar player. You know, at first I thought he was just, you know, an acoustic guitar player, but then I started to hear him, you know, go off and do all kinds of songs where he could turn, you know, just the one-man show into so much more, and not just with the effects, but just by just playing the way he does. I mean, he amazes all ages. You know, he can do the Eddie Van Halen eruption type stuff, and he can do, you know, the interesting part about him is I had heard songs that John covered, and then later on heard the original artist, and I had never heard the original artist, and I was like, wow, that guy is so lazy compared to John.
As long as I can sing, play guitar, or be involved in it somehow, recording other people. Yeah, this is my life. So basically, till they throw the dirt on top of my grave, I guess this is what, you know, this is what I chose to do. So you got to stick with it.
Give me something to believe in. Let me listen to your laugh again. I can feel you hear it breathing. As I listen to your lies and then tell me that you know me. Say I wanna touch my skin, yeah. Oh, but you're just another name. Desperate game you played in vain again. Try to bend or try to break me. You could try to turn it all around. Said you only tried to save me. Well, I was never on the ground. I was never on the ground. Well, I could never be torn down. My feet all landed on the ground. I fell. Well, I would never be torn down. Listen for the silence now again. Does your mirror ever cast a true reflection of the jogging battered bowels of your soul? Do you truly see yourself as someone better? Don't you realize that you're just another fool? Now you pick another bottle, stick another needle in your veins. Wonder why your life is hollow. Wonder why you can't seem to see straight. Well, I can see you made it to the top again. My feeling, well, I will never be torn down. But life is full, my heart is sound. My feeling, well, I will never be torn down. My feet are firmly on the ground again. Torn down, listen for the silence now.